Alright ladies and gentlemen, Spirit does fashion here, and today I'm going to show you how a wolf really fashions their wolf frame. With Voruna Prime right around the corner, here's a few options that I've made that you could probably put some thought into. Let's get into it. Alright ladies and gentlemen, first fashion for you in this video is my main, the Renamon Digimon fashion I own. Now, you're probably going to think me a perv for this one, but this is basically what I run around with when using her. To accomplish this, though you might want to alter bits, maybe change things around a bit, I would use the Anukus helmet, followed by the Demiona skin. Next up, use the Mesa Noble animation set. This one allows her to crouch down, check the floor for scents before carrying on. Next up, for the primary, I would recommend using white because that's what gives her the little bit of fur in places. Next up, for the secondary, use bright yellow. I would recommend Halloween. Maybe you could probably use Orokin if I can find it. Maybe, ooh, that actually looks like pretty cool, pretty nice. Anyway, moving on to the tertiary. Again, you want to be using yellow. For the accents, I made it purple because she's got the little purple in places on the head where it's got the like a what is it? It's like a lightning bolty sort of style. For the colors, I would recommend on the lights use blue because I think she has blue eyes, followed by the energy, make them green because when she uses a move called Kienkyo, she is able to teleport in a plume of leaves. Moving on to the attachments, I would recommend the 2022 chest attachment, though if you don't have it, you will probably have to make a different option. Now, for the arm guards and leg guards, I used Halter, because when you look at Renamon, she has two purple gloves on, but in Warframe, there are no glove accessories, so we'll just have to settle for glove shin pads. Next up, for the ephemera, I used the Concura. Moving on to the colours, you can pretty much just copy the ones from above, though you may need to rearrange them. On the Syandana, I used the Iliac Syandana to give her that tail because it looks good, in which case you want to be using the yellow on the main, the white on the secondary, yellow on the tertiary, and purple on the accents. And the colours you can pretty much just copy from the main. Okay, that is my first fashion, a Renamon. I hope you liked it. Just a little touch up on the Renamon fashion. If you want to maybe pull off the Diamond Storm sort of attack, I would recommend using the Dragoon and on extension, the Kuva Dragoon. Now, the colours are completely up to you because you probably won't even show it on the actual Warframe itself. But what I did was, I used the main colours from the Warframe itself with the Dragoon Cannon skin. I don't know if it's available still anymore, and I seriously doubt it, but I think it looks badass, and there you go. That is my Diamond Storm. Next up, if you're a fan of Pokemon, this is my fashion of the Pokemon Zoroark. Now, as you can see, I've managed to use in place a couple of bits to look like it actually has that big plume of fur that goes down the back. For this, you want to be heading over to the Agony palette frame first to use this shade here for the skin. Though, if you want to use other palettes because you don't have that one, you can possibly either use Eminence or Dex color. No, definitely not the Dex. But yeah, I'd recommend this palette. For secondary, you'll want to be heading over to Agony again for this version, for this color here. For the tertiary, I'd add the red because, well, she has red claws and red fur and etc. On the accents, I used a light grey simply to fit in with the rest of the skin. Now, the skin and the helmet, you want to use Demiona helmet because it just looks Zoroarky. For the skin, use the Cuveo Draconis skin, the Severoth Agile animation set for your animations. The attachments, I would recommend using the Tenocon 2022 chest plate. Now, on the rest, you won't need to add any. For extra fur, I would add the Concura to ephemera, and for the Signa, is up to you. I added the Arato, but it doesn't really feel necessary. As per the on the Syandana attachments, you want to be using the Magor Towson or just the Towson, or just the normal Magor Syandana. Make the primary color dark red because to fit in with the colors of the Pokemon itself. For the edges, you possibly want to be using a black, or maybe you want to use the purple from the Agony palette. For that, I'm not really sure. Is it? I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be like a black. Yeah, maybe it's a black, I don't know. And then for the accents, make it black again. Tertiary, make it red because it's not really going to change much colour. And there you go. There you have my fashion of the Zoroark from Generation 5 of Pokemon. Alright, next up, this is my fashion of the monster from Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak, also known as the Lunagaron. Now, as you can see, this was... well, I'd say it was pretty difficult to put together to decide on the combination. For the helmet, you want to be and skin, I would recommend the Demona skin because it just looks pretty wild and, well, monstery in a sense. For the agile animation, just a normal Voruna agile. You might want to use another agile, like say maybe, let's have a look. You could probably use the Valkyr Agile, that also works, and it's just the tail doesn't look as showy or flashy. For the colours, I would recommend using this blue from Transmission. For the secondary, use this blue from the Eminence. For this blue, I would recommend Ice, this shade. And for the accents, I would recommend this Icy White from the Ice palette, obviously for a nice monster. And now the emissives are just a combination of light blue and normal blue, and light blue then blue on that one. For the attachments, and all the way through all 5, I used the Nymore armor pieces and basically coloured the same as the armor itself and just coloured it like ice. And as per the ephemera, it's the Mainagama, which gives you this lovely tail looking design along with some really icy claws. For the Signa, now you can choose to use this if you want to, it's up to you, but I used the Erato and pushed it all the way to the back so it resembles ears. For the Syandana, I used the Glacier Syandana. Now, if I recall correctly, I'm pretty sure it was from a Nightwave. It might not be, I'm not really sure, but there you go. That is my fashion of the Warframe Voruna. Next up is my fashion of the monster from Monster Hunter called the Zinogre. Now, at this point, this is one of my favourite monsters, so it would be a bit daft for me to not make a fashion of her or them on Voruna. I mean, she is a wolf, so are they. For the colours, I would recommend using this shade of blue from the ice, followed by the material Fieldron form. For the secondary, I would recommend this blue here because it looks right for it, and then for the effect of it, use Oxium Gloss as the material. For the tertiary, I would recommend, which one did I use? I would use this light blue from the Transmission palette, comboed with Lure Darkside, and then same Lure Darkside on the 4th, which is the accents. For the accents, use this yellow, followed by the emissives and the energy color. The energy colors that I used are the same light blue light blues from the Ice palette. For the attachments, I would use the Asteria chest plate. I mean, that's just my opinion, really. You can choose whatever you like. The Voruna Void Shell armor, because I didn't know what else to use. I mean, you could use maybe, I don't know, another video, another time. Protovia leg plate armor, because it looks nice. The Vengeful Charg Ephemera, which of course can be obtained through an electric progenitor, Kuvelich. For the Signa, now you don't really have to add one for this. I just wanted to because it was worth a shot in trying to make a horn. It doesn't look as good as I thought it would, but there you go. For the Syandana, I would use the Velesti. Now, the reason I use the Velesti is because when you look on the back of a Zinogre and on all the way down to the tail, there is a rather spiky looking fur that is constantly sticking up on end when the electrical Fulgur bugs start to appear from its body. Well, fur. So for the primary colour, I'd pretty much just copy what you used in the previous one, but remember to change the colour palette for this one, for the tertiary, to this shade of yellow. And that's all for this one. That is the Zinogre fashion. Next up, this is my fashion of the Stygian Zinogre, which is a subspecies of Zinogre often affiliated with its ability to use the dragon element. Now, as you can see from this, I have used the void shells again, and it is pretty much the same materials that I used in the previous Zinogre. The field drawn form, the smooth salvage was changed for the armor to look a bit more armory. The tertiary and accents are both, again, Lua dark side to give off the scales. As for the colours, first off, the primary, you want to be using a pretty dark grey because, again, the Stygian Zinogre, as its name suggests, is a black wolf. Followed by the secondary, you want to be adding red. For this, simply because, well, the monster looks amazing when it's shining in that dragon element effect. For the tertiary, I would use this grey here. Now, you don't want to go too white because Zinogre's body is, in fact, not white. It is grey for its fur. The accents, use this grey here. I think it looks pretty nice. That's weird. Why is my screen turning yellow? Oh, well, back to normal. For the energy colour, for the missives, use red. Now, it doesn't really matter if you change the second part of this, but once you've formed on the energy, use black first, followed by red. And this will allow you to pull off a colour that resembles the dragon element in general. For the attachments, I've used the Kuva Toulon chest plate. Now, you can use something else for this. I will let you decide what you think is best for a Zinogre. For the legs, I've used Protovia. For the shoulders, I've used the Voruna's normal void shell armor. And for the tail, I've used the main Agama Syandana, like I have, well, not Syandana, Ephemera, that I have used for the Lunagaron fashion. Now, Signa, I didn't really use anything because I didn't really want to change just how good this looks. For the colours, I would recommend this grey here in the smoke palette, followed by this grey in the smoke palette, and I'm pretty sure the next one, oh, it's another grey from the smoke palette. Now for the energy colours, black and then red. For the Syandana, you want to be using Lichen Blight because I think it just looks cool. Yeah, the ephemera kind of clips through it, but it doesn't really matter because if, like me, and you're a die-hard Zinogre fan, you want it to have that tail. You just want it to. For the colours on the Lichen Blight, I would recommend just copying the ones from the original colours, but you might want to just rearrange them a bit. Anyway, that is my Stygian Zinogre. This is my fashion of the Helluva boss character called Loona. Now, you will have seen her throughout the Helluva boss series, so if you've been watching it and paying attention, you will have known exactly who I mean. For the helmet and skin, I would use the Dumiona helmet. For the animation, I used the Mirage Noble because it just looks a bit sassy for her. On the primary, head over to Agony. Now, if you don't have this palette from the Kuva Lich collection, you will need to find a better alternative, but this is what I have to offer of this grey. For the secondary and tertiary, I would recommend white, followed by the accent being this grey, this very dark grey from the Agony palette. For the colours, I would use red. Now, she's very dark and full of hell energy, so I would recommend red in general. For the colours, now, what I did with this was, since I couldn't really match all the colours, I just wanted to make it look like she was wearing some clothing. Like, for example, this is the top she's using. I used the Paxis, followed by the Oranist, and the halter legs to look a bit more like the tights she wears, as per the ephemera, I use the Concura, and the Erato is up to you, it's completely optional. I used Erato pushed all the way back to resemble ears, and of course you have to make those black because that's what colour her ears are. For the primary, use this colour here from the Fear palette. Once again, you will need to find an alternative if you don't have the Kuvalich collection, followed by the same colour. On the tertiary and the accents, you will have to use this grey here from the Agony, again Kuvalich collection. For the emissive, use this red, and for the energy, you pretty much just want to be using this grey here from Fear to give her the fur effect, because when you look at her hair, it's kind of like that grey. On the Syandana, I would recommend the Iliac, because quite frankly, I want my Loona to have a tail without getting rid of that fur that you see there, the colour of her hair. For the colours, you want this blackish grey from down here in the Agony, followed by 2 whites in the secondary and tertiary, and accents, I would then say use this colour from the Agony again. For the colours, just copy them from the main one, and there you go, my 6th Voruna fashion, Loona from Helluva Boss. Then, ladies and gentlemen, and all identities in between, this has been my fashion show / showcase of the Voruna fashions that I currently have. Now, with Voruna Prime around the corner, I see 6 more fashions on the horizon. Who I'll make, I don't know just yet, but we'll just wait and see what happens. And as always, like, share and subscribe, and as always, I'll see you in the next video. Peace.